Sup guys, MP64 here, your local pixel artist with a speed paint of a mockup of the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World game battle sim, but with my OCs. So for starters, I have these two sprites that I forgot to record. Don't worry, there's still of the show. So this sprite is for Eliseo, who's the main character for this story. I used my own color palette for him since almost none of the original sprites use the tones of green that he has. He needs at least 4 tones of green in order to work, and the original game had like 2 or 3 maybe. So I made them up and I did the same with his skin color. For the line art, I used a more smoother type of line. The original game didn't have jaggers, but I included them. I'm not really trying to do a 101 reinterpretation, more like a 80% recreation of the style and a 20% of my own. I really like Paul Robertson's work, and the Scott Pilgrim vs. the World game really shines a lot. The mix of cartoony pixel art and the comic book aesthetic of Brian Lee O'Malley is really eye-catching. So, for the next sprite that I also forgot to record, it's Goldie. He's a fish. You know, I had to make this one 2 times. The first time it came out really small compared to Eliseo's sprite, and I forgot to record it both times. Well, the second version is way more detailed. I used a lot of black and I also did upgrade his pose a bit. The colors are the same ones as in the original. It actually was kind of painful remaking it without feeling I was making a worse version, but I still kinda like more the first version of the fish inside of the tank rather than the final one. I don't know, he seems more charismatic. So for now, we have 2 sprites and the goal is to make 5. Right now I'm making Gabriel sprites. He's a guitar pseudo-punk Russian teen, that was a mouthful. For his sprite, I took a lot of inspiration of Stephen Steele's sprite and even tried to use him as a base. By the way, Eliseo shows up on the side of every one of these speed paints since he's the size reference for everyone else. So it really took me a lot of time to make his face, but after I got it, it wasn't so much of a deal. For his hands, I made them more square than in the game's artwork. It seemed more stylish compared to Steele's hands on the same position but with a reverse perspective. I also made his nose way different. It looked like Professor Utonium's nose. Eliseo's one is really small and looks like a triangle. I like to think that in shape theory, that represents Eliseo being more explosive on the inside than Gabriel, and his hairstyles are both pointy, but Gabriel's one is pointing upward and Eliseo is pointing generally down. I don't know, Gabriel is really a chill dude and an extrovert. Also, his nails are black on this artwork. In other artworks they aren't, and this is the first time I made them look like this. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I also forgot to make the double line art, so I did that later on. Next it's Ise, or 1S3. She's a chimera and her history is kind of interesting since I based this OC on a crush I had some time ago. About her sprite, I wanted the sprite to be more dynamic, similar to Ramona's pose, but with a more happy expression. Her sprite is more soft than the rest. It's not that much pointy and her pose is way more dynamic, so I think that should compensate it. I wanted to make her nose smaller, but for now it's just kind of big, so yeah. Now about the colors, they're a mix between the color palette of the game and my own sprites. For this one, I'm using mainly mines, but the black tones and the saturation of the skin I'm using is from the original ones, not the colors themselves, but their saturation. And now with Crawler. He's a really recent OC, indeed. This is his first appearance on an artboard. I actually still have his concept art page here. His design is basically a mashup of all of my OCs into one. So for his sprite, first of all, I used almost exclusively gray color. It was kind of hard to get them since in the color palette of the game, Every character has his own tones of grey. Some are kind of green, some are kind of blue, some straight up don't exist and are replaced with baby blue. His pose looks like Pokemon Trainer Smash Bros. Pose, but it's actually based on Toad Pilgrim pose and Matthew Patel's one. It makes sense being based on Pokemon Trainer since he's a spider tamer. His face was hard to make since I'm not used to make more adult facial factions, but to be honest, it was easier than I thought. It took me a lot, yeah, but the result fits his personality really well. About the spiders, I based the blue one on the peacock tarantula. It's a spider I really like, to be honest. The other two are a normal yard spider and a black tarantula. Now for the background, I took the base color from a screenshot of the game and make a liner gradient. It's not exactly like in the game, but I wanted to give it a bit more of detail. I just made two sets of it and flip it vertically, 2 times, and added the screen property to them. Also, I added a little bit of gradient on the right. The font, it's just the impact font, really squished. Good thing that I figured that out kind of quickly, and then just changed the colors to a blue to make the second background, and changed the letters to the main cast names. And now, I'll just stick everything together. I also tried to change Gabriel's eyebrows a bit, and a bit of Isa's hair. And for the final detail, the captions. I made them more like on the Scott Pilgrim comic rather than on the game, and I added captions for the main cast too. I also changed the age for level to keep more with the video game essence. I don't know if it was that good of an idea, but it sure has some charisma to it. Also, I just noticed that the font of these are the same one from Mother 3, not the fake ones, but the rest of them. And this is the final result. I must say, I really like how it turned out. And by the way, I use some plugins a lot. I leave them on the description if you wanna use them. So that should be it. Thanks for watching. Remember to brush your ass and wipe your teeth. I'm MP64. See ya.